Well, thanks for joining us again. The AM show, always brought to you by Mixit Coffee and always live on the Joy News channel of Multi TV. My guest for the morning, James Aveji Kluche, is chairman of Parliament's Finance Committee, but also member of Parliament for Ketu North. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
How are you? I love your tie. If you're going, please remove it. If I want to wear it on Monday.
No problem. I'll
All
do
right.
it for you.
And Daniel Nikwate, Titus Glover, member of Parliament for Tema East. Which committee are you on Parliament?
Trade, Industry and Tourism.
Good, suits you.
Deputy ranking.
But looking at where you grew up, very hard.
We're in the same committee. I'm also on Trade Committee.
Oh, you're on Trade as well. All right. So we all know the subject that we have to start with. I'm sure the audience will not take it kindly if we deviate from starting with this very subject. I want to lead MPP again. Anado declares, and there's a subject about the issues that came forth from within his own party, but more importantly, the NDC's Johnson Esiedun Ketia, alias Kwasi Binti, said that the gentleman is an easy prey for the NDC in 2016. But we've had some comments on our social network page that says that, well, only if President John Mahama is able to do what he needs to do right by way of, well, structuring up the economy well. I have to start with you. What do you make of Nana's declaration? You were shaking in your seat yesterday, weren't you?
Thank you very much. Personally, I do not have any problem with Nanado want to lead the MPP again. First of all, you need to cross the first hurdle where his party will have to elect him to be the leader of the party. Then he then comes to the general election, and that hurdle also he needs to cross by Ghanaians voting for him. That is his wish. He thinks that he can come and then have a vision for the party. What I'm surprised is, I don't know whether it's a new vision that he has for Ghana, because if he had that vision in the past, why didn't he, as a member of the government from 2001 to 2008, gave that vision out? He might even trying to say that he wasn't in charge, but as a very close person to the former President Kufuor and a leading member of government at that time, he could whisper to the ears of the president at the time that this is the vision I had for Ghana, and therefore shall we do it? And if he did, and that advice wasn't taken by the then president, then as a party, as MPP, as a party a whole, do not even have believe in that vision.
Well, Mr. Aveji, I get your point, but where do you situate your context in a situation where his campaign message, the bane of the campaign message, has now become a policy direction of your president?
No, I disagree. I disagree completely with that.
It's not a policy direction.
In 1992, the people of this country.
No, I know it's in the Constitution.
No, I know. Yeah, yes. I'm coming to that.
But for somebody to make it a campaign message.
No, I will come to that, and I will explain to you why I disagree with you. The 1992, the framers of the Constitution made a proposal, which was agreed to in a referendum.
We do understand that.
That education in this country shall be free from the basic level. It shall be compulsory and free from the basic level. Then from the secondary to the tertiary, it shall be progressively free. Now, Nanado wants free SHS. President John Mahama said, we are going to introduce free SHS on a pilot basis and which can grow progressively. We are trying to implement what we have in the Constitution. We're not copying anybody. So I disagree with you that that has become the campaign message or a vision for our president. No.
Now you said by saying that Nanado doesn't have any thematic areas to campaign on, in terms of the vision he will have.
No, he said
will not be different from what already is on the ground.
He has a vision for this country, and my question was that, why is it a new vision that he has for the country that he wants to come and give to Ghanaians, or is a vision that he had in the past, which he suggested to his government from 2001 to 2005, but the party MPP at that time did not see that vision to be a vision that could lead Ghana to anywhere. Therefore, they did not take it. That is the question I'm just posing. I do not know. I wasn't part of their government at that time. So if it's a new vision, fine. Ghanaians will listen to him, listen to that vision. In a case, in a case of the free SHS, it's not a vision. It's a vision of the framers of the Constitution, which they put in the Constitution. And we want to implement that. So it's not a new vision. So what vision has it got for the Ghanaians? If it's a new vision, you should tell Ghanaians. Ghanaians will analyze that vision. And if they think there is a vision, they'll vote for him. But they think there is not a vision that will lead us anywhere, they will definitely not vote for him.
Mm. Yes, sir. You spoke on Thursday after the declaration, I believe, to the news team, and you were espousing the virtues of Nana Addo. You as a party, and because if you look at the chorus for majority of the leadership of your party, you get to have the feeling that that is their trajectory, even though, of course, there are some mixed feelings elsewhere, that Nana Addo should be your candidate and is the right person for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that he has listened to the current call of the Ghanaian people, basically, and the fact that haven't waited for 6 months, listening, and when you hear the commentary, both home and abroad, and the abysmal performance of this administration, nobody should tell you that going with Nana Addo again could turn the things around us. I'm disappointed because what my senior is saying, yes, the Constitution has everything clearly stated there, but it is not going to be there if you don't put any adrenaline to make it work. If the Constitution tells us we should do education progressively, and you are not doing it for 19 years, plus 4 years of meals, plus 1 year and 3 months of Joe Mama, and you are not seeing this. You see, when you listen to the barrage of attacks that the president himself, James is not that time, so let me take him out. Those apparatchiks, those sharp teeth, who continually insult and attack Acquah Addo's sense of judgment of that free SHS thing, it tells you volumes that the NDC in a way are lacking the ideas to prosecute the agenda for this country.
Meaning what?
This thing has been there, why are you not implementing it? When Nana Addo,
it was only a campaign issue,
please,
and then they had said that they'll make it progressive.
Please.
You said you make it instantaneous.
It is there. Why did you not implement it? You recall when the University of Development Studies, the Nyankpala campus, in the 2008 elections, they invited all presidential aspirants to come there and tell them the kind of vision that they have for the North. Apart from Nana Akufo Addo, none of the presidential candidates were there. And the vision that he had for the North is to have this Northern Development Fund to develop the North.
Oh, we have Sada.
They came to plagiarize it. They stole it.
You say plagiarism?
Yeah, they came and stole the idea to turn it into Savannah Accelerated Development Authority. This is the kind of man we're talking about. Today, what is happening to Sada? What is happening to Sada? So, you see, yes, he has come up with his idea. He has listened to the call of his people and outside the MPP. What is important is for us to sit down. And like I said, we are not going to sit down again to make sure what happened in 2012 is repeated. We are not going to go on the street to do anything, but we must make sure that...
What happened in 20... What do you mean by what happened in 2012?
Are you a stranger here? What took us to court? Because we believe that Akufo Addo...
Oh, you mean the election petition?
The election petition.
For which the content was that? I mean, the summation of what you sent to court was that you felt the elections
was
not
rigged.
administered.
Yes,
was not administered.
Was rigged. Honestly, it was rigged.
Well, the court came out with
it. We believe that the decision of the court was not the right decision.
And that's the motivation factor for Nana Addo to run again? Is that what you're saying?
It is not. It is the people of Ghana who is seeing the abysmal performance of this administration. He is the finance committee chairman. If he can be sincere to himself and his God, he knows the kind of thing that we're going to do.
How did you, as a follower of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo Addo, come up with a sample size of qualifying the phrase "the people of Ghana," getting to make that call on the gentleman Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo to again contest the primaries of your flag bearership race?
You are an experienced journalist. And sometimes some of these questions, when you ask me, I want to throw it back to you.
You can throw the question. If I'm in a position to answer, I'll answer.
Because the point is that just walk the streets. Here. Go to the markets.
Okay, you did oral sampling, you mean?
You understand? So
that's
what
not
you
scientific,
hear,
is it?
I'm a member of parliament. I represent people in Tema East. I have friends in the NDC who voted for me as well. These are business people. And they tell me, look, our president and our government has failed us. Okay. When MPP was in power, things were going on very smoothly. Our own government and party comes to power, and we are struggling. We are suffocating.
Is that what they tell you?
That's what they tell me generally. Okay. I can't mention their names here.
All right.
So clearly, when you look at it ontologically and fundamentally, we have a problem.
There's an issue, though, that came up following that very comment by Nana-Addo in that very press conference that he was going to run. And the concerns, and I believe has been expressed even by aides of Dr. Kunedu-Apreku and a couple of others. And even weeks before that, we had that very gentleman, Dr. Arthur Kennedy, way from his base in the United States of America, always making those writings or publishing those writings in the media that, you know, the party giving or creating that very posture for Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo will not in a way create that equity that all individuals who would want to contest that primary to have a level playing field to contest. Do you agree?
Roland, the point is that if you believe in yourself, that is a contest in your party. Don't sit in your base in the US. Arthur Kennedy all his life was in the US. I don't know him from Adam. It was only when the 2007 presidential primaries that I saw him coming to contest. I don't know him.
You don't know him?
I don't know him. Okay. But those are maybe might know him and all that. But what I'm saying is that, look, it's a contest.
Because if you read the history of the MPP from the beginning of its formation, prior to the start of the Fourth Republic,
I know it wasn't a struggle. They all have to go to Cote d'Ivoire.
So you can't use the phrase that you don't know him.
What I'm saying is that currently, at the time when he came, I don't know him. It's not by mistake.
You mean he was not active on the ground?
We don't know you. So now, if you want to come and contest, they open the nominations. So if you think you are justified, you have all what it takes to win, you only go and appeal to delegates to come and vote for you. Akufo-Addo also believes that he wants to run a third time. People are calling on him to come and run. Do you understand? So if you believe you can beat Akufo-Addo, why not? Just come and take. Apreku, nobody stops him. That's a democracy. So if you think that you can beat Akufo-Addo, why? Come and contest. And if it's time for you to win, we'll see. So I don't see why. You see, it's so painful when you see our own party people telling, instead of wasting our time to deal with the NDC on issues, they rather turn around and start attacking Akufo-Addo.
You mean they are not seeing the light as you are
seeing?
You
understand? It's so
That's
painful.
why you are individuals within the party. You have your democratic
so
rights. Is that not the target?
You see, some of these democracies, in a way, get to a point that is very painful. Look at my big brother sitting here. If you think that you want to contest him in the Decatur North, wait when the time comes, you come and contest him. But you don't go back slandering him, attacking him, giving ammunition to your opponents, then you turn back and attack Akufo-Addo.
Well, going by that, why doesn't Nana-Addo also relax? Wait, when the time is getting near, then he makes his declaration.
When is the time?
All right.
We are going on, God willing, by 12. We're doing the national elections for national officers. Within that time, there's a time for us to take time to elect our flag bearers.
Mr. Abeji, you're a top politician. If you take consideration of the fact that, somebody who has been a two-time flag bearer of a party, especially a party like the MPP, makes a declaration as he did on Thursday, does it give the opportunity for those who would want also to take a bite at that very position to have a fair or equal chance?
Well, I think that the decision to announce his intention must be governed by their constitution. Does the constitution allow you to make such pronouncement?
So far, it doesn't violate it.
If it doesn't violate it, fine, that is correct. Unless it's violating the constitution, then somebody can say, oh, you are not making a playing field level for all of us.
But it's not everything that is written in stone or written in black and white or written in law there are certain morals that are also attached to the implementation of certain regulations and laws.
Well, that is a politics. It's a game that you are playing. So he thinks that this is his political game. This is the way to play it in order to win. Those other people who want to contest also have to devise their own strategy and how to play the game to win. He can announce, he did announce yesterday, but somebody will announce maybe a month or 2 weeks to the time of the election, and that person will also win. It depends on the kind of strategy that you are playing. Before you know, even those people who have the intention, they might be going their campaign, going to constituencies, talking to their...
Which will not be an easy one, because the MPP has in excess over 110,000, I believe 116,000 or 126,000. How many, sir?
No,
it's close to 122,000.
Okay.
Yes, I bet you.
So it's not easy to be going around.
Even Nanado, after announcing, will also go around the whole country to meet the delegates and talk to them. So maybe they are even doing that even before Nanado's announcement yesterday. So I do not see that to be anything wrong. In any case, it's the delegates, the electoral college that will go and take that decision. And therefore, if you're able to talk, it's not a matter of announcing on radio or to the whole country. That is the issue. The issue is about the delegates who have the voting power, who cast the vote, are the people that you need to talk to.
And yesterday, if you follow through with comments of your General Secretary, Johnson Esiedun Ketia, you get a feeling that perhaps beneath all that very bold statement is some level of some shuddering, some level of phobia towards the gentleman Nanado Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
Well, our General Secretary has spoken. He made it clear that meeting Nanado a third time will not be anything difficult for NDC, because he's somebody that we know his weaknesses and his strength. So for us as a party is for us to adopt a strategy on how we can weaken that his strength and then make his weaknesses more weaker in order to defeat him. So if he says that we defeated him twice and the third one will not be difficult for us, I think he's saying something. But for me, I would look at it this way, that his pronouncement yesterday does not mean that he has been elected the candidate for this MPP. We should wait. When they finally elected a candidate, then we adopt the strategy to win. We should not be afraid of anybody at all who will be elected as their flag bearer. But if Nanado is elected a flag bearer, if somebody that we know his strengths and weaknesses, somebody we defeated twice already, it is for us to work on how we can weaken his strength in order to defeat him. That is the point that I can make as a member of NDC.
The NDC says an easy prey.
When you listen to Esiedun Ketia, you can see, and you ask a very good question. You can see the paranoia on NDC, because they know Akufo-Addo is a very difficult and tough guy. Now, there is this propaganda that is skimming around. He's an old man. He'll be 72 in 2006.
Well, that's fact.
It's a fact. We don't take it away. But let me ask, in running a presidency or governing this country, are you going to take pickaxe and start digging ground because you are a young man, have very strong blood going through your veins? I don't think so.
Why, if you're young, is it not an asset?
It's an asset, but we should be very careful when you are insulting even elders. The elders they have in their party, I said today is telling that they don't even respect the elders in their party.
They are not presidents, are they?
Excuse me, but at least they give you wisdom. They give you advice. You understand?
Going by your analysis, doesn't it mean that then he should play an advisory role then? I mean, be at the background.
Don't truncate me. Can I flow?
Yes, sir. Please flow.
He had decided to offer himself to contest an election in this country. He wanted to be president in this country. So we need to support him in letting him have the kind of vision he has for the country. So, even with a young president...
Who needs to support him?
All of us, all Ghanaians, who believe. Why?
He needs to run the election first.
Yes, he will run.
Okay.
You have a young president. He calls himself a post-independent president. And look at his performance. Look at the performance of President Mahama. So abysmal. And you said we should sit down and allow that to happen. No. Excuse me again. Nanado and Professor Mills, may so rest in peace, are almost the same age. Nana is older than about 3 months. If Prof had not died today, wouldn't have been contesting the 2012 elections?
We wouldn't have known that, because he was not around to contest the 2012 election.
So, the NDC have not been fair to the old man. Because they knew, excuse me, Professor Mills, they knew very well that the prof had a problem. But because of political expediency and power, they pushed the man and pushed him because he wanted to.
So you're also pushing Nanado? Is that what you're saying? I'm going by your comments. That's why.
He gave you because they are making so many comments.
Nanado?
We are not pushing Nanado because he came to tell us medically, spiritually, physically, he's fit.
Well, Atami said that. That so he was medically,
you could see physically, fit. My brother. You could see physically. I can tell you, Akufo-Addo is stronger than me. As a young man, 40 years this year. But we should be very careful the way we try to insult and attack the judgment of our elders. Do you understand? Because you need that chemistry between the aged and the young ones to transform this country. But when you think that because you have a young president, and for that matter, anybody who is coming up, I totally disagree with that.
Why do you think that your opposers, and particularly the NDC, which is now in power, would use age as a factor when it comes to the heat of the debate for the 2016 elections?
Why do we think that you're going to use age as a factor? Because they don't have anything. What kind of thing did they say of Akufo-Addo? He smokes weed. He smokes heroin, cocaine, so many things. He's violent. He's this, he's that. At the end of the day, when the Ghanaians sat back, they saw in him that he's not the man that you are talking about. Somebody who loves his country more than himself. Will we compare these things? So what are they going to tell Ghanaians about Akufo-Addo? It is about delivery. It is about performance. How you can transform this country to make sure the human resource base of this country is transformed to make this country succeed. What are we seeing? A young president? We have taken amateurs and JSS graduates. What is happening? Look at what is happening. And you think that Akufo-Addo, all you need is leadership. It's about the mind. To see how best you can harness all these talents. I'm not saying some of the ministers within the NDC are bad, but there are few of them that are very good. They are very good. I can give thumbs up Arun Edrisu and Yamashite and all that. But sincerely, when you sit down, you could say that, I mean, it doesn't add up.
Okay.
It doesn't add up.
Your point has been made on this subject.
Yeah, I think that we as NDC will not choose the candidate for MPP. It is they who do that. If they decide that Nanado is their candidate, fine, so be it. And I know that...
place in your hands for you to be using the age argument?
Well, look, for me, I will not use age argument.
You think that is fair for voters?
Look, the voters themselves will decide. If they want to use a grandfather as a president, they should do.
Who is a grandfather?
No, he's a grandfather. 72 years.
What has that got to do with the politics of the day?
No, you see, but culturally, in our traditional settings, people of his age sit at home and advise and direct the young ones.
They don't take part in the action?
In action, no.
Why? What makes you think so?
They don't take part in action. They sit down and give advice.
You don't think that in the current era of modern democracy, where there's a lot more intellect and vision in the way people direct affairs and governance is more critical?
Do you want to be physically taking part in that? Why don't you sit?
They make the argument about President Robert.
Whoever is your president, young presidents, that they must have at the age of 40 years. You could be a president of this country.
Who?
My colleague here. Because the Constitution says 40 years. So he qualified to be a president. If this man is a president and Nanado sits behind and directs him, do you think that he will not implement the ideas of Nanado? Why does he want himself to be there?
Do we take your argument to mean that you don't have elders in your party to advise President John Dramani Mahama?
We have.
Okay.
We have. What I'm saying is that whatever advice, whatever vision that Nanado will have for this country, if you sit behind and give it to somebody who is the president, the person will implement that vision. Whether that vision will do anything good at all or not, that vision will be implemented. That is the point I'm raising. So if he wants to be part, Ghanaians will look at him and say, well, at the age of 72, he still wants to be part of that decision, that vision that he alone has for this country. He doesn't want to impart it to anybody, but he is the only person who can implement that vision. Then Ghanaians will vote for him. But if Ghanaians think that, no, at your age, no matter what kind of vision that you have, which you cannot sit behind and give to anybody to implement, but you yourself, you want to be part of that implementation, then we'll decide whether to vote for you or not. So that is the point I'm saying. I will not say that Well, why they still want to take Nana Addo as their flag bearer? Maybe they don't have any good candidate in their party apart from him.
Now, talking about candidates, the subject of question or import of the question I asked him earlier on was about how his announcement on Thursday would perhaps create the level playing field for the other candidates to also take part in the debate. That's the question I
yeah, exactly. That's the question. But I'm saying that if really they don't have any good candidate apart from him, whether he delayed the announcement or not, they will still vote for him.
Okay. In your estimation, we've had certain individuals who have shown the posture that they want to contest. Dr. Akua as a Kennedy and all the other gentlemen. And even people even thought Alan Tremanti, etc. as possible, Isaac Osei, for example. Yeah. Do you think that perhaps the MPP should be looking in that direction?
But they are young Ghanaians in the MPP who, even if they don't have the vision of Nana Addo could still use them to implement his vision. So if we are talking about looking at our traditional setting, where I believe strongly that people of his age usually sit behind and direct affairs, then they could consider any of those people rather than him.
What will happen if a 72-year-old man becomes president of Ghana?
Nothing happens.
Okay, good.
No, that happens.
So you have no problem
because
with
the Constitution did not set any upper limit. I didn't mention the legal aspect of it. The Constitution didn't state any upper limit.
We're not talking about...
and for that matter,
we're not talking about the legal aspect.
He qualified.
Yes,
he qualified. But I'm saying that in our traditional settings, that is how it happens.
Does it matter?
It doesn't matter. But
would it matter for voters if they go to the polls?
It matters for voters, and individually voters will decide whether I should give him the vote or not.
Because you feel this man is old.
The voters line up the candidates and look at them.
Okay.
I can see how James is struggling on this age business as to when another wants to come. And clearly, he did admit that they, NDC, cannot decide who should lead our party, which I agree with him. It is our people who decide who should lead us. Now
you are deciding who should lead your party.
Because
don't you think that we're only having a small number of people within your party trying to perhaps project somebody and force him onto the throat?
Not at all. Okay. I've told you.
Because that has been the argument, a summation of the context of
I agree with you, Roland. As you listen, you are a journalist, investigative of course, and you walk across, not even outside Accra, within your environment where you live and your workplace. Nobody will tell you that Akufo-Addo is not acceptable outside the MPP. Do you understand? So they cannot tell us who we should bring. We think that he's the best under the circumstances. And looking at the performance, a young president, and look at what he's doing. And you think Akufo-Addo cannot do better? He will not sit back. If you think that he will sit back...
Akufo-Addo has not been president, so we won't know.
He definitely, God willing, we will succeed. Do you understand? If you want him to sit back and give advice, he still want to be in the frontline politics. And he said yesterday that he has taken 2 careers, that there's no retirement, law and politics. He decided that he has all that adrenaline in his belly to make sure he can lead the MPP if the nominations are open. So I don't see your fear and your problem. But let me tell the NDC, this time, all the things that you have said about Nana Addo is not going to wash. Because they are going to look at your performance. I'm in parliament with you, and you are struggling, and you know the truth.
Okay.
As a young president,
there's a publication here by Dr. Kofi Kunedu Apreku. It's on page 17 of the politics page of the Daily Graphic. It says that the MPP needs a strong leadership to win 2016 polls. It means that he has a contrary view to your support of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. He says the MPP could not rely on the fact that the economy was not doing well, so automatically they will win the election in 2016. And he says if we want to win the election, then we have to organize our party very well. We cannot win at the weakness of the National Democratic Congress.
Absolutely.
We have to win on our strength, he stated.
Yeah, you see, this is a holistic thing. Having strong leadership, it starts from the base.
Well, he wants to contest.
Well, no, I'm not saying that.
He's saying that you can't say that because yesterday your
leadership alone is not on the flag bearer.
Because yesterday your former candidate said it, that government was not managing the NDC government was not managing the economy well.
Is it not true?
And as a result of that,
as a result of
that, he will provide the alternative. And Dr. Kunedu Apreko is saying that you can't just outline all these and saying, well, government is reservedly being
unperforming
in a position where it cannot manage the economy as a result of that. Automatically, Akufo-Addo and the MPP will be the party in office.
Let me diagnose what he has said. The fact that Akufo-Addo is out himself up for contest, including Dr. Apreko, does not necessarily mean that we are going to win the elections. It means the unity and the total cohesion of all of us, including him, Apreko, who is making this statement. At the structures, the lower level, to the polling station, the electoral area, the constituency, the region, and we'll end up at Tamale to finish national elections. The as to how you want to prosecute the elections in totality behind the flag bearer is what is important. So like he said, it's not about the way the NDC is performing that is going to make the money, but how we will prepare yourself.
Your party,
thank you very
in
much.
government,
so that they will not rig again.
It's not doing well according to your critics.
It is not true.
And as a result of that, it's a free chop, just in quotes,
well,
for the MPP and Nana Akufo-Addo or whoever will be chosen.
That is their perception, that is their thinking, that NDC is not doing well, and for that matter, it will be a coup chop for them. He keeps saying all the time that the present performance is abysmal.
Well, you're in the finance committee. The numbers that your president comes to, and your finance minister comes to present before Parliament are not good, are they?
Yeah, I'm going to give you the numbers, and I'm going to give the numbers to Ghanaians to listen. So please, Ghanaians, please listen to me. I do not know, whenever we talk about governance, how people perceived governance to be. For me, in my little mind, governance is about providing leadership. And in that process of providing leadership, you make the life of your people better. Making life of your people better means that you provide the goods and services that are needed to make the life of the people better.
Lives of Ghanaians are getting better?
So, let's come to that level.
Answer the question.
I'll answer that question. If we talk about what can make the life of Ghanaians better, first we need to grow the economy. And since NDC came to power, we have never had a negative growth. We keep having growth above 4% to 7%. So no one can tell me that the economy is shrinking. The economy is expanding. That is one. Economy expanding means that it's making the life of the people better. Now, let's go further and say how governance or government or leadership of government provide the needed goods and services that make the life of the people better. We need to provide social goods. Goods that you and I will not provide because we want to make profit out of it. We need to provide that social goods. And what are these social goods? We make goods that everybody will access freely or pay a little not economic value or cost and enjoy it. Provide water for the people, provide road network for the people, provide health care for the people, provide education for the people.
And your government is providing that?
We are providing
the Ashama roads have not been done, the Lashibi roads have not been done. There are lots more roads that have been in the budget for the last year.
I will agree with you.
As well as the last 4 years, when your first NDC administration, led by Professor Atanios, came into power, have still not been done. They've been in the budget for the last 5 years.
Ghana is not born or was not born yesterday. Ghana recently had 57 years of independence. And since then, we keep improving upon those roads. Look at those roads that we have been constructed from Kwame Nkrumah time, which are reconstructed over and over. Even in MPP time, they have constructed some roads. In 8 years, have they finished constructing all the roads in this country? No, because it is not feasible. They cannot do it. No government can do it within a term or two. So it means that as you and I live as a people, we will continue to demand or continue to have needs that must be satisfied by government. So It's a continuous process.
That's
so
social talk.
Yes.
But they need to be certified based on timelines and the promises that have been made by the government that is in power.
You don't expect that all roads in Ghana will be constructed in a year, or in 2 years, or even 4 years.
True.
Yeah, yes. So you don't mention particular road and said, why is that road not constructed? It will be constructed. Now, where does government get money to do all this? It is from you and I. I pay my due in the form of taxes. He pays his taxes. Everybody pays taxes. That becomes money available for government.
No,
to construct.
You are going philosophical about all this.
No.
I think the thrust of the question that I asked you is the fact that the argument out there by your critics, and this is largely led by the opposition MPP, because really they are the party on your heel.
Unless they want to tell me that
your government is not managing the economy well.
Unless they want to tell me that what Ghana needs as a country to meet our needs have been provided to government, and government is misusing the money, or government is not applying it appropriately.
Then so far, you are satisfied with the performance of your government.
Yes, so I just want to give you some numbers. In this 2014 budget, the total revenue that can be collected from taxes and all other sources, from petroleum, crude oil, everything, is 26 billion Ghana cedis.
And your argument is?
And our needs, our expenditure for the same 2014 is 36 billion.
So we're not planning well. The priority is wrong.
Fine.
And that has been the criticism from the opposition all this while.
That is
and even major
that is the question. The question is that, what do? We need to raise more revenue. We need to cut down expenditure. Now, in which areas can we cut down expenditure? Government have been spending money on what? Providing social amenities, even paying part of petroleum.
Okay. I know you would want to go on, but Mr. Veji, do you realize when you give this very argument to the ordinary voter on the street, you won't be retained in office? Do you know that? You have to be realistic about it.
We have been saying it. We said, the president said it in the State of the Nation. The president mentioned that these are the difficulties we are facing as a country. And this is the way to go about it.
But the voter will not retain you in power if you keep giving this very argument.
I believe strongly that it's better to tell the voter that this is the situation, and the voter will agree with you and rather think that the solution that you are providing, if I vote
I'm asking you this because the voter will need to see the fiscal.
And I'm telling you that this is a reality. And whether
the achievement needs to be tangible.
Whether MPP come to power, let me finish in just a minute. Whether MPP come to power, or CPP come to power, or any other party come to power,
that's a reality.
If the voter, if the Ghanaians do not agree with that person, that this is the way to go, that government will never perform. I will not succeed.
Roland, my senior colleague is aware that the recent IMF report on Ghanaia's economy, he knows it. He knows the truth. And hold on, you know that they've told you the economy is so bad, so abysmal.
In summation, what do you mean by so bad?
So the management.
Just tell us.
You see,
if it's the variables and all. Just tell us. You can't just make a blanket statement that the economy is bad. Let me tell you. And that has been the refrain for the last couple of weeks.
Roland, I always tell you this is not crossfire on BBC. Thank you. The issue is that the IMF who sit back, who come in to support the economy as and when. Ghanaians themselves are telling us, they are telling the government that things are not going well. So the IMF has come to affirm it, that under President Mohammed's performance, it is so abysmal. You know what? To whom much is given, much is desired or required. We left a debt of $8 billion. How much have they collected? And we are physically not seeing much of the things that they have used these monies to do. We keep asking them.
What do you mean by you can't see? Because we have a number of projects.
Just this week,
all right,
a member asked the education minister.
The argument that they're spending on capital projects, is that
please, we asked
major
them.
Infrastructural projects.
One of the banks, is it Carl Bank, gave 85 million.
Well, we'll be discussing that next.
That's it.
Don't take the wind out of my sails.
They should give us the physical structures where they are built. Just come and see how Kujato was struggling. You see, agriculture is suffering. The Dutch disease has affected this country because of the oil. Cocoa production has dwindled from the 1 million to about 820,000 metric tons. industry, manufacturing sector. Go and read the last quarter of Association of Ghana Industry about industrial and manufacturing sector. Okay? There's lack of business confidence in this economy. Seriously.
I don't know where he's getting his figures from.
I have it. I can give you. I'm telling you. I said manufacturing sector.
So what is
the manufacturing sector?
I think we all know the variables. So that's why I keep asking
the lack of business confidence has dwindled.
There's lack of business confidence.
Now you want us to enjoy made in Ghana.
According to the GIPC, the quantum of investments that came into the country, FDIs, and even projects, quantum increased. The numbers may have reduced, but the quantum increased.
My brother, I'm talking about manufacturing sector.
Well, I do understand. We're talking in context,
the textile industry,
in relation of the variables of what they say.
The over-liberalization of our country is causing some of these our local industries to collapse. So when hold on. So when we are not being so pragmatic enough to make sure the influx of all these Chinese cheap products, because the unit price of every good in this country.
What you're saying is not new. The president has been to Parliament.
That is why he's a leader. He's been from 2009 January. He was president in July 2012. What is he doing? Energy. Look at erratic. What is happening? When they were in opposition, what did they say about Kufuor? What kind of measures that Kufuor did not put in place? Now you are begging that Ghanaians should give his time? No. You have to do it. And again.
And we are doing it.
Oh, naturally. Please.
What is natural?
The total, what they call it, statutory payments. These are monies that you collect upfront. When you collect, go and give it to Get Fund. Go and give it to NHIS. Give it to the road fund.
Very simple, right?
Easy.
Very
but then decide to do what they want to use that money.
What do you mean by that?
If you give me the chance, I will explain to him.
You have the
you
chance.
have your chance.
He doesn't know that.
So
don't help him. Just
they had institutions that collapsed.
I always confront him. So
the head institution collapsed because you are not paying what you are supposed to pay.
So you have to wrap up. You have a minute.
Do you understand?
50 seconds.
One thing that NDC have done so well, professionally, is corruption. Institutionalization of corruption in this country is so much. They have done so well. That is true. You can't take it away from the NDC. But as to whether the capacity to do, as for Abuga Pele, he's only the small fly. The bigger fishes are there. They know them. Yes, I'm saying it. The bigger fishes who are involved in this corruption, this Jida, Suba, and all that, they're all there.
Sir, yeah.
Well, I think that my colleague is not being truthful. It's better we tell Ghanaians the reality rather than probably talk and then not speak the truth.
Try to please.
You see, I mentioned to you that as a country, our total budget is 26 billion, and our needs is 36 billion. And that 26 billion that I mentioned is not even available in government coffers today. That government will have to share among the 36 billion. If it is there, we would have decided on what to do. It trickles in every day.
As and when?
As and when taxes are collected. Now, it takes 30 days to collect, and within that 30 days, government will need to incur a lot of expenditure. And the number one among this expenditure is a wage bill. That is the first thing government will have to pay. So whatever money is collected by the Ghana Revenue Authority, you must pay salary first. After paying salaries, you need to service the debt. That he mentioned 8 billion, that they have left a debt of 8 billion. Forgetting that during their time, they have free money from HIPIC.
It's still coming. HIPIC money is still coming.
It's not coming.
It is still coming. HIPIC money is still coming.
They have free money from HIPIC. They have free money for debt relief. Which they don't mention it. Why did they use those money for?
We never had oil. But you
what
got
do they
oil
use
money.
those money for? How much is the oil? The oil is about 2.5% of the total revenue. 2.5% of total revenue. You say we have money from oil? No, you don't have money. Now, after paying your wage bill, you meet your debt servicing. After you service your debt, government machinery must run. Administrative expenses. If not, Parliament cannot even see it because we need money to even print our other paper and the rest. So administrative expenses must come. After the administrative expenses come, you come to the statutory payment. The health insurance, the Get Fund, the Common Fund, the Road Fund. You must do those things. Then, after that, you go to investment expenditure. Now, if the money that is collected within a month, after paying the wage bill, little is left, or even after paying the service the debt, nothing is left. What do you want the president, and for that matter, the Minister of Finance?
But that's why he's the president, and he has a Minister of Finance, and people like him to think for him.
Yes.
So if you can't do it, somebody else will come and do it.
That is why.
Is that the argument you're putting to Ghanaians?
No, that is why
the statutory payments. Why is it that they don't go into where they have to go?
The statutory payment. The point I'm making is that if whatever comes in a month is not enough to meet the statutory payment, what do? You go and print more currencies?
You are collecting the thing.
You print more currencies to weaken the value of your city, and that will throw the economy over gears.
Yes.
We need to generate the revenue through economic activity.
You gentlemen are members of Parliament, and there's an issue brewing in Parliament currently. Oh, not the $300 million facility for the reconstruction, or I think the putting up of more structures at Reach in Accra, the hospital. No, this one, there's an issue. Member of Parliament for Bosomtwe has launched a sunlight campaign. Okay, that's what that's the English the New Weekend Crusading Guide is writing. Sunlight campaign against the Education Ministry, accusing it of failing to account for an amount of 85 million Ghana cedis. Cow Bank loaned Ghana, or lend Ghana, approved by Parliament over the last 3 years for the construction of classroom blocks in Ghana. According to the MP, the loan, which was approved on March 17, 2011, clearly stated that the ministry should build 161 6-unit classroom blocks and 55 two-story dormitory blocks, and after 3-4 years, it can be accounted for. They got to know that because questions were asked in Parliament, as the Deputy Minister of Education, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, appeared before the House and gave answers to some projects being executed under the GET Fund. And some questions were asked, and his answers were very unsatisfactory. I'll start with you.
We will move the motion or the loan. So you should give us education on that matter, because at that time I wasn't there.
Okay.
So let James speak. Go ahead. Speak.
Well, I think that I wasn't in when the Deputy Minister answered the question. So I do not know what kind of answers he provided.
No, he's quoted here. I don't want to read his quote. I think the thrust of the matter is for us to deal with.
They cannot account for it. If they cannot account for it, then the appropriate bodies, you go in. Because if Parliament approve money for you to do projects, and if those monies were actually released by the bank to the ministry and they cannot account for it, definitely there are people who should be held responsible. So I do not have any problem with that at all. The appropriate bodies, you go in quickly and get them, because
and do an audit and see whether these classrooms were built.
Exactly. So that is why
because I said when I saw it, I said perhaps it could be possible that the Deputy Education Minister was not finished with.
So the appropriate bodies go in and audit and see that really they have used the money or they have not used the money. We cannot sit here and then cut somebody's head by saying he's done wrong or what. Let the appropriate body to do, because this is a question that was asked and answered, and the answers were not satisfactory. What is the next step? The appropriate bodies go in and do the audit and come up with a finding. Then action will be taken against who will be found culpable.
It is so sad and painful when we are struggling to raise revenue for investment, salaries, blah, 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 blah. I will not pass judgment for now, because the honorable member from Bosomtwe, Simon Mensa, who asked the question, even his own constituency, the schools that he was expecting from the 2009 to 2012 is not up to number. You know, so you can imagine what is done across the length and breadth of this country. So let's give ourselves a little time, so that independently, apart from those institutions of state, people should find out, even the bank themselves, Car Bank, it is their duty, because when you go and borrow money from the bank, since they have a stake in that investment, they also have their monitoring teams that goes down to find out maybe the kind of challenges or difficulties that you are going through as a result of that.
Well, this it's not an entity and an individual.
It's the government. So they should go around and find out where exactly the money is gone to. Then we can have the opportunity to really find out where the money went for that purpose. So I think that is a good news, and we need to ask our ministers more questions for them to come and tell us. But sometimes our difficulty is that when you're inviting these ministers to come, sometimes they show gross respect to Parliament, you know. And Mr. Speaker has been
in what way?
Their presence is very important. Sometimes they have some other assignment, and Parliament is supreme. Apart from cabinet meeting, apart from meeting with the President, Parliament is supreme. And where sometimes the delegates, their deputies to come, the Speaker and some of us in the chamber are sometimes not comfortable. Yesterday, you see what really happened there, you know. So for now, what I would say is that we'll just buy some little time and get that investigation to be done. Where are all these schools built? Why wasn't it built? Have they spent all the money? Where did they spend the money to? Then we can have a very good opportunity to prosecute.
Have we ever had an occasion where perhaps certain approvals were made for certain projects, but perhaps the funding were used for some other purposes in the history of Ghana since?
No, if it's a project loan, it's used purposely for that project. It is only when it's a budget support loan. The budget support means that the loan comes and is paid into the consolidated fund, and the Minister of Finance uses it to meet expenditure of this country. But once it's a project facility, it is solely used for that facility.
Yeah. So then the other subject about the 300 million, is it dollar loan to build some facilities at the Rich Hospital here in Accra, and the argument from some members of Parliament has been that after some due diligence and some evaluation and some advisory efforts, those advice were not taken, and the loan was approved by Parliament. Now, we've had Oseche Mensah-Bosu, who is a minority leader, and a couple of members of Parliament come forward to question the very substance of approval of that loan and what went into the due diligence process to inform.
The loan was approved by Parliament. You see, let me tell you the process that we go through in terms of loan approval. Whenever you want to undertake a project, you identify the projects. Then you look for funding. Now, when you look for funding, we come to Parliament, they bring that funding, which is in the form of a loan, to Parliament, for Parliament to look at the terms and conditions of that facility. Now, at the time of approval for the facility, the Finance Committee, which usually do that work, will consider the conditions under which the loan is being taken. What is the interest rates? What is the repayment period? When you compute it, is there any grant elements? Is it favorable to the country? Those are the conditions that we look at. Once we are satisfied with that, we recommend the approval of the loan for that particular project. Now, at that time, because we will not look at the cost of the project, what we do is that we recommend that the ministry involved must do value for money audits, which we call VFM. This usually is done by Crown agents. Now, value for money audit will then go and say, oh, the prices that are quoted for these items have the value, therefore they are okay. If they do not, then they do their recommendation. In the case of the Rich Hospital, we approved the facility in 2012. And at that time, the conditions under which we were taking the loan were favorable to this country. And they are still favorable. So the committee, Finance Committee, recommended for the approval of the House. And that was done. Then this year, the contract itself was brought to Parliament. Now, this contract now will look at the entire project that will be constructed. What are the costs of the project? Are they okay? And that point, the value for money report must be part of it. This was submitted to Parliament and referred to the Health Committee because it's hospital. So the Health Committee went and worked on it and brought the report to the House. Now, that report was also approved by Parliament. Unless there was a recommendation from Value for Crown Agent for some savings to be made. But the committee recommended, looking at the report of the VFM from Crown Agent, and recommended to the House for approval. And all of us, as Parliament, went ahead and approved it. Whether I was seated in chamber before the approval was made or not, but once I'm a member of Parliament, I'm part of that decision. So we all approve it. Now, if Honorable Chairman Sabonsu is raising this issue, what did he do at the time of the debate or the motion was moved?
Okay, what can be done now? That's passed. Parliament
approve it. Okay. And that is all. Unless somebody wants to take the matter to courts, for Parliament to rescind its decision, which is also go through a process. And Parliament will rescind its decision that, well, we had approved this earlier one, but because of...
So it can't be done?
It can't be done by Parliament rescinding its decision.
Mr. Glover, Mr. Titus Glover, the argument I've heard being raised by Oseche Mensah Bosu and a number of the members of Parliament is that if you take the quantum or the sum total of the money, 300 million, in some other jurisdictions, that could have been used for perhaps bigger projects, more efficient projects, and projects that would have been more beneficial than what it would be used for at the Ridge Hospital.
I agree with that school of thought, because a $300 million project is not an easy thing. But this is going for refurbishment.
Yes.
An old British colonial structure. Pentinaming Yuzu. You understand? An old British edifice. But not going to put it in a new facility. For me, that is my worry. Because a new thing is far better than something that is refurbished. And for me, that is the difficulty that I find myself. But when you read a story earlier, this matter came up, I think about last week, one of the papers published, that I think the contract sum has been overpriced. Because when they did the detailed cost analysis of the project, it has gone up more than necessary. But the question that I will ask, because I'm a level 100, who were not in Parliament at that time, you know, so what kind of input went into the cost? Because you can't just come to Parliament.
No, you're a member of Parliament. This was approved just recently. This time.
Last year.
No. The contract agreement was approved, I think, about a month ago.
You know, yeah. So the cost itself, what I know is that they should have done all their cost analysis before they come up with the final figure, then go to Parliament, that look, this amount of money that we're asking for, therefore Parliament should go ahead and approve for us. But only for us to approve and people should go and do the individual costing to this has gone up more than necessary.
Okay, now I just want us to spend some 30 seconds on the subject. How do we make sure that, well, in the future we do a lot more scrutiny? Because I know when the motion is brought for the loan approvals, you're taken to the committees, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When agreement is brought, it's sent to Finance Committee. And we look at the terms and conditions.
Right.
We look at the terms and conditions of that facility to make the money available.
Could you be less flexible so that you guys do proper scrutiny than just you usually would? Because if you had done that, perhaps we wouldn't have
No. I think you are not under. You don't follow what the plan I'm making. The Finance Committee look at the loan, making the money available. The Finance Committee will not look at the contract itself. The contract itself comes back to the House later, which refer to the sector committee.
Okay, I get your point.
Yes.
So how do we make sure that as members you are on top of it?
We need to protect the public purse. That is very important. We are still struggling to raise money. And if monies will be borrowed and we'll later hear that it has been overpriced, then it raises serious concerns. So all that we need to do is that Parliament can still recall and have the matter re-looked into, where the problems are. We just go in and do the corrections, and the money can be used in other areas. But for me, going to refurbish an old structure instead of putting up a new building, I'm all for that, than going to refurbish an old structure, because eventually it will still come back to hold again.
Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen. Very fruitful debates to take us into the weekend. And Daniel Ni Quartet Titles Glover is a member of Parliament for Temais. Thanks for joining us. Member also of the
Deputy Ranking.
Okay,
Trade
Deputy
Industry.
Ranking Trade Industry Tourism Committee of Parliament. And also the chairman of the Finance Committee of Parliament, member of Parliament for Ketu North, James Kluche Aveji, also joining me this morning. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure to speak to you. It's been AM Talk. Now let's bring you the news on the hour.